Hello everyone, and welcome to another Arthritis Help Movement Improvement session where you learn to move differently so you can feel better. I'm Dr. David Sofer, physical therapist, and today we're going to be talking about our feet. We're going to be learning how to connect our feet into the floor to give us maximum stability and give us more power and resilience with walking and pushing off. And we're going to be observing our own habits and how we hold our feet, what tensions we have, and what we can release in order to allow for greater contact and greater use so that way we can move around more comfortably and easily. I'm excited for this one. For this, all you're going to need is a tennis ball and a dish towel to help us throughout the session. It's going to be done half in sitting and half in standing. So let's get started sitting down. We're going to begin sitting on a firm surface where your feet can comfortably rest flat on the floor. If you're a little on the shorter side and your feet don't reach the floor, just scoot forward in the chair a little bit so that way you can make nice floor contact. And we're going to have with us two things that we're going to need: a tennis ball or a racket ball, and then a dish towel of some sort, which may come into play later. So first, we're just going to start with a check-in. Just like we do with our bodies when we're lying down, we're going to just rest the feet flat on the floor and just get a sense for how your feet contact the floor. Take a moment to get inside yourself and feel what parts of your feet make good, strong, heavy contact with the floor, and what parts of your feet really are raised up or have no contact at all. Now, feet are not supposed to be flat, completely flat down on the floor. That's not the way they're designed, although some people do stand that way. You're just trying to get a sense of what your feet do and almost discerning one from the other, because it's very common to be asymmetrical between the two. So let's do a little check-in. Let's start at the heels, and the heels often make nice, strong contact. They're a good base for support, but some people put a little bit more pressure on the inside of the heel, some people a little more pressure on the outside, and some people right down the middle. So just get a sense of where you are with your heels, left to right, and see if they feel that symmetry. Don't try to change anything, just let it be as it is. And then we're going to take our attention up from the heel, and we're going to move up just past the heel to where we get almost to that soft part of the foot. And we're going to see that the pressure starts to lift. There's not as much pressure. And that very commonly we get pressure that diverges out to the outside border of the foot, but a little bit less on that inside arch. So just get a sense of where you feel the pressure. And if you feel more of the outside or pinky toe side of the foot makes contact as you go through, and then the inside, the instep or the arch is raised up because it is, after all, an arch. And depending on the degree of arch that you have or the position of your foot, you may feel different contacts in different places. So notice where on the outside you may feel contact, and then where along the inside it is absent. There is no contact. Do you feel that it's a slow kind of transition from high contact to low, or do you feel that there's high and then very abruptly less contact? People with high arches or a turned out foot often have that abrupt change. People with flatter feet tend to have a much more gradual feeling of contact. And then we're going to still move forward towards the edge, and we'll think about the balls of the feet, right where the toes meet the foot, and we'll feel for how much contact we have through here. This is a point of heavy contact for a lot of people, and there's supposed to be contact, but some people rely on that contact a little too much, that they put a lot of pressure through the balls of the feet, so much so that the toes elevate up off of the floor. So let's now bring our attention forward to the toes and see, can the toes fall and rest comfortably on the floor? Can the pads of the toes fall down to the floor, or are your feet held up in an extension position where your toes are lifted up off of the floor? And it's okay if they are. If they are, that's great. All I want you to do is take notice. All we're doing is taking notice of how we connect and how we make nice contact and where we make contact, because the areas which you make contact are the areas that are useful to you. Anything that's not touching the floor you can't really use for balance or for propulsion. So if your toes are up in the air, you've basically shortened your foot 20%, which reduces leverage and takes away all of those strong toe flexor muscles to help you move and help you balance. So we're just getting a sense of where we are and how that foot can relax, and can we let go of any tension and allow the foot to be easier and more relaxed and more connected to the surface. Okay, so now we've done our check-in. We feel where our foot is. We're going to do a little exercise with the tennis ball. I really like this one. Tennis ball is great, or you can use a racket ball, works. Golf ball is a little bit hard. It's a little bit sadistic to do this with a golf ball. So what we're going to do is you're just going to take the tennis ball and you're going to align it right underneath the inside portion of the heel. And from there, I like to put a little pressure through my body. So I'm not stepping down with my leg. I just let my body lean into the ball. And we're just going to roll back and forth. I start a little bit too far back. Okay, we're going to bring that ball a little bit forward. And then we're going to roll the ball backwards with pressure all the way around to the big toe. And then we're going to roll that ball forward again over the arch of the foot and then into the heel, very slowly, and using our body weight to create downward force or pressure. And what I want you to think about is how light and gentle can your foot be, so that way it just kind of warps or wraps around the tennis ball, even all the way back to the ball of the foot, so the toes just kind of fall over the tennis ball, wrap over the tennis ball without gripping, without trying to claw or grab the ball. And then we're going to go forward. If that ball kind of compresses or deforms a little bit, that's okay, but we're not smashing the ball. If this feels uncomfortable, it's very common, you may feel some tender points, feel free to work in your comfort range and don't push so that there's tears in your eyes. Don't think, oh, if it hurts, it's good for you. That's not the case. We want to be able to get those muscles to release so that contact is less unpleasant. And so really work within your ability level, because you know rule number one, always be kind to yourself in all ways, okay? Don't push yourself into pain because you think pain is good for you. It's okay to flirt with pain a little bit and to see how it feels, but don't do anything that feels upsetting or noxious. Okay, now we're going to move that line off of the big toe and we're going to go to the second toe. So we're going to start with that pressure through the heel, and we're just going to follow a line that moves into the second toe. Got a little bit too far back here. That moves into the second toe and allows that second toe to wrap over the ball, and then follow that same line forward again with that nice pressure. Okay, take your time. Now, watch when you pull that ball back, notice, do your toes lift up? That's very common for that to want to happen. Can we relax the toes and relax the foot? Let that foot envelop the ball. And then, ooh, I got a little tender point right there. And then we're going to come over the ball, feel that toe wrap around the ball, not because we're gripping, just because that's what it does when we put that pressure through. And then we're going to roll forward again. And we're going to work our way down the foot from the first toe, second toe, third toe, all the way down to the pinky. And you take your time. And if you find an area that's interesting, right, that you're like, ooh, why is that tender? Or, oh, why is that hard to move? Or, oh, how come I tense my body when I come to that area? Explore that, discover that movement, see what's going on there. Notice, why does your body do that? Is it something within your ability to change? Can you relax as you go through? When we find these places, they are worthy of our curiosity and our attention. And see, can we, if we're thoughtful and if we change the way we move, can we get a different result? Or are we stuck? And if you notice it and you can't change it, that is okay too. I'm switching to the fourth toe now. That is okay too. Noticing is the first step to learning and changing. So just because you're unable, but you have noticed something new, that is progress, big time progress. So I'm at that fourth toe, and then I'm rolling through the foot, allowing my foot to be soft and enveloping the ball. Being careful, to go through some of those tender points, to back off a little bit, to make a little bit less pressure, make it a little bit less unpleasant. Ooh, that's a tough spot right there for me. And then we'll come through a little bit lighter, probably be worthwhile. And now I'm going to find that pinky toe side. and work our way through to the pinky toe and see how that pinky toe can just fall around the ball and then come forward off the ball to the heel. Good. And so when I'm doing this personally, I take a little bit more time. I go through each area of my foot, exploring the different areas that I like or the different areas that are tender. But you can massage out the foot, just kind of relax it this way as well. And take your time to do as much as you want to. But for time's sake, I'm just going to leave that alone. And I'm just going to put my feet back on the floor. And I'm going to feel that connection with my feet into the floor. And notice that the foot that you worked maybe feels a little bit broader, a little bit looser, a little bit easier. It connects to the floor in more places and with less effort. Maybe those toes have fallen a little bit towards the floor and they're allowed to touch. If you're not finding that's happening, then you need to practice relaxing the muscles of your foot as you're going through this exercise. That if you push through pain and that creates tensing, or if you just have the habit of tensing muscles as you go, you're not going to find that nice release at the end. Okay, so now from this position, what we're going to look at is how the foot can connect with the floor, and if we can allow the toes to find the floor. And then can we press through the pads of the toes, so not clawing, not digging like this, but can we connect through the pads of the toes to allow a long toe press, to allow the pads of the toes to press down and move the foot. And just for demonstration, I'm going to show you on the other foot. You keep doing the same foot. I'm just going to show you on the other foot for the camera angle. And you're going to see that when we have that nice press, that it actually lifts the arch a little bit. If you can find, and this is a tough thing to find, can you connect into the foot so that way when you press with the toes, it elevates the arch or it supports the arch. So if we take a look down, I'm going to press through the pads of the big toe and the small toes, pressing down, and when I do, it creates connection at the heel, connection at the toe, and then this arc, not from the ball of the foot, but from the point of the toe all the way across the arch and down to the heel. We want to see, can we enable that to happen just through a gentle pressure? If you feel you really have to dig and press to try to make that happen, you're working too hard. We're trying to see what's the least amount of pressure we can put to give us that nice lifted arch and to open the foot. Now, in order for that to happen, I'll show you on this side too. In order for that to happen, that pressure, right, your foot has to be comfortable with finding that outside border, outside surface of the foot. And then that means that the knee has to be able to float over to the outside of your foot as well. So you should feel that when you press, the knee turns out a little bit or falls out. If you hold that knee in and try to press, you'll notice nothing can happen because you're setting your body up. In fact, on this side, even the opposite happens, right? I'm pivoting over that arch, which is a dysfunctional movement. So we want to be able to let that knee fall out and allow for that arch to lift. And so we just want to see how gently, how easily can we press through those toes, allow the arch to lift, and allow the knees to fall off to the side. Okay, if that's a little tricky for you, fear not. I have a way to make it easier. That's where the dish towel comes into play. We're going to take a dish towel and we're going to just fold it over till it's, a reasonable kind of thickness, and it doesn't really matter. We're going to adjust as we go. I'm going to put that down, and I'm just going to rest the ball of my foot at the edge of the fold of the towel, and I'm just going to see if I can let the toes fall down and touch the floor. If those toes can fall down and touch the floor without clawing, without digging, can I find a little bit of pressure to push into the floor just by letting the toes fall? So if you're somebody who the toes stay up and they have trouble finding their way down, this is a way to kind of bolster up the ball of the foot and let the foot fall over that folded towel onto the floor, and then maybe even put a little bit of pressure into those toes. You might not get the whole arch move, but you'll get that idea of pressing down. There is an optimal kind of thickness for that towel, so if that's not working for you, just unfold the towel by 1/2, put it down, And then try sometimes a little bit less of a bolster is simpler for people. So feel what's the optimal thickness that allows you to press down through your toes into the floor. Good? And then from there, you can return and see, is it any easier for your toes to connect to the floor now that we've practiced letting the toes fall over that folded towel? So after you finish that on one foot, you're just going to repeat all of the same things on the other side, loosening up the other foot, loosening up the other side, and feeling for that nice, easy, gentle connection into the floor. All right, now that we've got the feet nice and relaxed, we're going to take this to standing and see how we can utilize our feet into the floor and find nice, supported, strong feet with the body weight on top of the feet in stance. Now that we've loosened up the feet in sitting and got the idea of connecting the feet into the ground in sitting and supporting the arch in sitting, we're going to see if we can do all that in standing, withstanding our body weight against gravity. So again, we're just going to check in for a moment, and we're going to stand, and we're just going to feel how the feet conform to the floor. And again, where we feel contact and where we don't. And you might feel that this is somewhat different in standing than it was in sitting, because now you have to align your hips differently, you have to find balance, you have to contend with your pelvis and lumbar spine. So there's a lot of changes that happen when we come into standing. So then just do that check-in and feel from the heels, feel that nice contact through the heels. As you go up, feel how the contact kind of splits off and it moves a little bit more to the outside of the feet, right? And feel that journey of contact from the outside of the feet and then across into the balls of the feet and then to the toes. And notice if your toes contact the floor, are they allowed to fall to the floor, or do they stay up in the air? Again, doesn't matter. Whatever they are, it's okay. You're just finding your own journey and you're noticing your preferred positions. Now from here, we're going to do something interesting. All I want you to do is we're going to do a little cheek squeeze. So you're going to pinch your butt cheeks together, right? You're just going to squeeze, like imagine you're trying to hold a sheet of paper between your cheeks, okay? And you're going to feel that when you squeeze the cheeks, it contracts the glutes, the butt muscles, and it starts to turn the thighs outward. And when it turns the thighs outward, it starts to turn the kneecaps outward. And you can see that my kneecaps, when I squeeze, start to turn out. And if that happens, it turns the shin outwards. And if the shin is turning outwards on the ankle, it's going to start to roll you onto the outside of your foot and elevate your arch. So the glute muscles are some of the strongest muscles in the body, far stronger than any muscles in your feet. So your actual strongest arch support muscles are right here in your backside, believe it or not, nowhere even close to the feet. So feel how that squeeze is able to lift the arch just by virtue of using those butt muscles. Now that doesn't mean you squeeze your cheeks and you walk around. That's not what we're doing. We just want to feel how activation in one place creates movement in another place. And then as you notice, as you squeeze the cheeks and allow the thighs to turn and the knees to turn and the feet to find that outside of the foot, are the big toes allowed to stay down? Do you turn the feet like they're solid pieces, right, and the toes come up? Or are you supple in your feet and do you squeeze and allow the foot, the arch to rise up, but the toe to stay down? This ability to find arch and turnout of the thigh and arch in the foot and allowing the big toe to stay down is hugely important for balance and for propulsion when we're going into walking and weight shifting. So let's feel that relationship between the cheek squeeze, the thigh turn, the arch lift, and the big toe finding the floor. And now you might find that if we do that position and the big toe can find the floor, if you put a little pressure into the big toe, then the arch can rise up even a little bit more. Now, I'm not saying that the highest arch is the best. We want to feel as we relax, the arches collapse. And as we squeeze, the arch rises. And as we press with the toes, it fortifies that arch even more. The ability to move in both directions is what we're looking for. Resilience is the ability to move in whatever direction you want, okay? That's the freedom of movement. So can we go flatten when we relax? And can we engage the glutes, the butt muscles, turn the thighs, lift the arches, press the toes to fortify that arch, and then relax and come down. And see, can we do that in a quick and choppy way, right? So it all works together, or in a slow and deliberate way, right? We want to be able to do it in every way possible. So finding that connection is nice, and it's fun to play with, and it's something that you can do anywhere, anytime. You don't even have to know that you're doing it. When I'm here in New York City, when I'm standing on the subway platform waiting for the train, you better believe that I'm doing this. And I don't think anybody knows I'm doing it, but I'm certainly not the weirdest guy on the platform. So just try to feel that engagement between the hips and the feet. Okay, now here's a nice, fun, interesting thing to see how that changes your body. All right, if we can engage those glutes and turn the thighs and raise the arch and press the toe down, then what I want you to do is you're just going to shift your body over to one side a little bit and try to maintain that whole engagement, and then come back. Okay, so we're going to squeeze the cheeks, lift the arch, press the toe, and shift to one side, and feel how supported your body is by your leg, that you have this strong pedestal to stand on as you go. We're going to do that one more time. Squeeze the cheeks, lift the arch, press the toe, shift the weight. And now, as you shift, stay there. What I want you to feel is that if you let all that go, feel how kind of compressed you become. Feel how squishy you become. That if I were to sit on your shoulders at that moment, it would break you, right? As opposed to if we can squeeze and engage and come over, you're strong. You're resilient. You can withstand downward forces of gravity or of me sitting on your shoulders, right? Let's try that on the other side. Give a little cheek squeeze, give a little arch raise, toe, and find your way over. When you're finding your way over, this is a little aside, but try not to lead with the hip. Try to be long and tall over the leg. If you lead with the hip, it's going to cause to other problems. That's a whole nother video to make at some other point. But so engage the cheeks, raise the arch, press the toe, shift over, trying not to lead with the hip, shift over, and feel that strong leg underneath you, and then shift back. One more time, engage the cheeks, turn the thighs, sway the body over, feel that strong leg underneath you. And now, if you want to, relax everything. With the weight still on that side, relax and feel everything kind of squish and compress. And then from there, can you re-engage, right? Can you re-engage when all that weight's on one side? It's a little bit trickier, a little bit higher level, but if you can do it, you can feel your body go from kind of compression or a lazy stand where you're resting on tension to an engaged standing where the body and the skeleton aligns itself under you in a way where it's resilient to those downward forces of gravity. Okay, so this is something that you can try just in standing, squeezing, engaging, and then you can add a little shift to it if you want to, and you can add that shift, turn off and turn on, and feeling how we can connect the pelvis, the hips, the legs into the feet to be stronger onto the ground. If you can do that, or even practice doing that, you're doing really good work, and you're without a doubt going to feel more comfortable and more confident as you stand on your feet. Thank you for joining me this week, and don't forget to thank yourself for taking the time to do something good for you, to putting forward the effort to exploring your body and exploring your patterns and making the changes that will make you feel better in the long run. You can see all of my videos on my website, www.arthritishelp.info, I-N-F-O. You can see my whole library of videos. But until then, I'll be right back with you next week with a whole new video teaching you how to move differently so you can feel better. Take care, everyone.